Hey, what is going on YouTube? Ron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. No, this is not a Friday feature of somebody else, but this is almost a Friday feature-worthy game that we captured in the Z-46 here. And if you guys did not know, a lot of the German destroyers, including the Z-46, actually recently received some buffs. I know the Z-23 and the Z-46 both got a reduction in their torpedo reload time. I'm not sure why, because the Z-46 is actually a very dangerous destroyer. The combination of decent long-range torpedoes, fast-firing 128mm guns, hydro, smoke, engine boost, this ship can really make an impact on the game. Now, the difference between this and the Z-23 is the Z-23 gets the gun upgrade of the dual turret and the 150s in the front, and I honestly think that makes the ship worse. The Z-23 is a very good destroyer, but is one of those destroyers that quickly got power crept over a lot of the other Tier 7 destroyers. On top of that, there's not too many destroyers at Tier 8. Yes, you could argue the Jutland, and of course the Sumner is arguably the best destroyer, in the game, honestly. I'd rather take a Sumner than a Gearing. But there is an enemy Sumner on the other team, so just pay attention to how we deal with that. But we have an Iwami sailing in a straight line, and if you notice, we actually put our first set a touch ahead of the white line. Now, the Iwami does not have an engine boost, but some other ships do, and sometimes, battleships or whatever the ship is not at full speed. So I always put it just maybe a touch ahead, and then I will drop one set behind that. Why? That is in case he decides to stop and or slow down. If you see the amount of surface area that we are covering with those torpedoes instead of double stacking them, now, in this case, it would have been far more beneficial for us to double stack them, but on average, if you launch a wider spread, such as we did, you will get more hits, right? You will cover more surface area. We ended up hitting 4 from that first set, and, we could have dev struck him, but any adjustment in his course, which is why it is never a good idea to sail in a straight line in a battleship, any adjustment from him would have caused that first set to miss, right? Either a turn in, a turn out, etc. And by covering more surface area, we're guaranteeing a flood. That is the more team-oriented approach, right? Why? Because he is now on damage con. We let him know. And last night, it doesn't even have to be in a division. Last night, our first game on stream, a huge shout out to all those guys. I went into game chat and we had 4 or 5 people on random, just solo, loaded up a solo game, 4 or 5 people on the team chat. And we ended up winning the game, right? Just because of that. Now, was that because I was a CC? Maybe. A lot of them hey, Aaron, how you doing? It was a really cool moment. So Nick and whoever, there was a bunch of you guys. It was a lot of fun. But again, hitting that torpedo, causing that flood, and then you call out the damage con, maybe you don't get the teammates, etc., but your other teammates can get that permanent fire. So just a team-oriented goal there by kind of keeping those torpedoes spread out. Now here, this Buffalo didn't really have any other options except to turn out, so we launched them ahead, right? Where sometimes the indicator is good to use, but sometimes you also need to be smarter than the indicator or the other player, right? So we knew that Buffalo was going to turn out. We did launch one a touch short, but we also launched them as much, we couldn't get them past those islands, but as much out as we could. And that is when we get another torpedo hit on that Buffalo. So if T-Man or my other guys are watching, this is the most torpedo hits we've ever gotten. No, I'm just kidding. It's often a joke that, Aaron doesn't hit torpedoes just because of, sometimes I will try to guess what the enemy player will do, making the logical play, and they don't make it. But we're down 2 ships early, but we have done a lot. And also, just on a side note, while I've been talking about that, the reason we went over to this side is because the destroyer was on this side. If we can kill that destroyer, we give our team a massive, massive advantage. Here, I'm just throwing torpedoes around the boat. And with the reload buff to the Z-46, you can just DPM the heck out of these torpedoes. They're every 80 seconds now, which is honestly, the Z-46 might be, they might nerf it in the future with how strong this thing is, and you're kind of seeing that right now. You do have the rear-facing gun angle, so this is a situation I would never recommend opening up on an American cruiser, but we knew that he was on damage con because we took our torpedo. Our team is also engaging in what is known as focus fire, right? That John Bart, huge shout out to him, and our other battleship shot at the radar cruiser. Go figure, right? So it's astonishing what happens when your team does their job. Again, if you'll notice, though, Our team is that key or whatever it was on our side just took the torpedoes from the Sumner. So our team is doing their best to even up this game. Now that being said, we just got the C cap, so we're sitting pretty, right? We have 2 caps. We've killed 1 ship, and we know where the enemy destroyer is. So what we're going to do is we're going to run right at him. This is the strategy that a lot of people do know about. It's a very simple strategy. You just run into the destroyer with your hydro. You wait for that destroyer to run into you. You smoke up or they smoke up. Sometimes you should wait to see if they smoke up. And you turn on your hydro and you obliterate them, right? But we have twist and track, which is almost essential for this play to work. Now, again, you can surprise them, but if you don't know where they are, most likely they'll surprise you. So if you are a destroyer player going against a German destroyer and you do not know if that destroyer has hydro or not, I would never recommend doing what this Sumner does right here. He's charging full force into us. Now, we did see some smoke in the cap earlier, but we're going to go ahead and use our smoke. If this is the initial engagement, sometimes a lot of those destroyer players will smoke up. And what you do is you just rush their smoke screen, right? But here we smoked up, we're turning broadside. The Sumner actually does a decent job of trying to blind fire us. We switched to the AP for a bit, but the HE is just as effective, especially on a lightly armored target, as another destroyer. If you want to use AP on broadside targets, you absolutely can, especially in the German destroyers. But HE will do the trick as well. Here, though, he is caught in our hydro. His engine's out, and he's just down for the count. So a full health trade to him for only about 1/4 of our health. And that is their only destroyer. I don't know if it's been the missions lately, but there's been a lot less destroyers, which is nice. I hate when there's 4 or more destroyers, even when I'm in a destroyer. I know it's kind of silly to say, but... and here we launched those torpedoes on that Vanguard, but he is doing the smart play, and this Vanguard actually makes a smart decision, right? Throughout most of the game. Now, he is damage con down at the moment, so we're going to try and get at least a permanent fire on him. Our torpedoes, while they are very good, do not have the range. I think they are 10 kilometers. We know that with him turning out as well, he is probably not going to get in them. But what we're going to do is utilize the smoke screen from the Sumner and push out and DPM this Vanguard. There is a permanent fire, and we are ticking our way to a nice damage total. We're also trying to get the second fire on him, but in our mind, right, this is the difference between a winning play and a losing play. As a destroyer, what am I going to do? Am I going to chase a battleship with strong HE and a super heal out to the edge of the map with medium range torpedoes? No. After I'm finished DPMing here, I'm going to turn to the left and help my team, right? We can see that B is now being contested. We are up pretty heavily on capture points. We're up almost 300 points. But if our team goes down and they have been, holding off that push for a long time, then we're still going to lose this game, right? And it's plays like that, the other night, I think I was in the Montanas and we just saw cruisers with no concept. It's almost, it's just like this game is not that difficult to see what's going on, different strategies and things like that. So when you see it happening, it's just very frustrating. But here we're getting a glimpse at our teammates. Yes, that mines is very low, and I actually decide to open up here. We have a good chunk of health, 22,000 overall health. You can play with your health, especially considering we saved so much health in that first engagement there. But the Brandenburg secondaries open up on us. Our main went down, and you can see that our Kronstadt is very low. So we're going to go ahead and throw some torpedoes here. We got the kill on the mines, and we're going to go dark. Also, another reason I decided to open up is I looked at this Kansas. His guns are not even on the right side. Well, they're on the right side to shoot at those guys, but with the turret traverse time of the Kansas, we're going to go dark before he can ever get a look at us. So, just looking at multiple ships, multiple plays, you will net yourself much better results, as I say multiple times, in pretty much every video. Paying attention to what's going on in the mini-map, looking at different things, like, opening up there, killing that mines. Yes, it did, we did lose about 6,000 health due to the secondaries of the Brandenburg, but we looked at the other ships in the area, right? Now, some destroyer players will just open up there for no reason. And completely negate their biggest advantage, which is concealment. That to me is like the worst play, in Legends. Chili said the other day, like, if you're a destroyer and you get detected by a battleship who you see, right? Like that's like the worst play in Legends, right? It's just like, letting an own goal in soccer or something. I don't know. But here we're just we're hanging out, right? Our team, we're gonna need some DPM from them. We're gonna need some Alpha Strike from our battleships. Now, one thing that I will say is this John Bart decided to chase that Vanguard, and that Vanguard made the right play. He was on the weak side. He kited out. So I would never recommend chasing that kite. If the John Bart would have stuck in that channel gap there, he could have much easily helped our team win this game. But our Prince Eugen did kill that Constellation, which is pretty huge because that is a radar, right? But here we're going to go ahead and smoke up in DPM. We have a good set of torpedoes on the way. We're just out of range, just at the edge of our range, I guess, of 10 kilometers here. But it looks like this Kansas is going to eat some, so we're going to try and set them on fire. A little strategy you can use is try to launch your torps and then start shooting at the ships, hopefully getting a fire. Sometimes, they'll put it out, but in this situation, it was, not enough time between torp launch and getting the fire, but just a strategy you can use. On top of that, once you get that torp hit, you know that they're most likely going to use the damage con, as the Kansas does in this situation. So what we're going to do is just try and set him back on a permanent fire. In the meantime, though, we take the high caliber, and we're doing well. Here, the Kansas actually takes a blind fire, and I think this one, that was pretty close. If you did not know, you lose a touch of dispersion when you don't have a target locked. So shout out to this Kansas here. He connected a shell there, and with the overpen, doing 10% damage, that's a good chunk off of me. But here we actually get a double fire on him, and this Brandenburg is coming in. So we're just trying to DPM and stay alive, right? We're still up 200 points. Now they do have 2 caps, but we're tied on ships. So I remember thinking on stream, and I think I said it on stream, the winning play here is to go to A. The 100% assured winning play is to go to A here. Why? Because we have C. They probably would not get C in that quick amount of time. Also, Bismarck was taking a pleasure cruise. But you can see that we have a double fire on the Kansas, and we're positioning ourselves between the Brandenburg and this rock here, so he cannot shoot us. We also threw a preemptive set of torps around that rock, and this is when I decide to take all of the glory, right? If this Kansas is reloaded and turns to be, now he's probably not going to get it. We get the sink on the Brandenburg there. Are we going to get the double strike, Kraken? Yes, shells are on the way. No, they bounce. What? Oh, he puts the fire out. And it gets stolen. You can see my face as the Kansas gets the shot off, but we turned in. So the Bismarck took the pleasure cruise all the way around Sea Island and steals my double strike Kraken. Oh, tragedy. Absolute tragedy. But as you guys can see, we have had a fantastic game in the Z-46. Such a strong destroyer in just all regards, and we actually have an extra hydro available to us. So a very versatile destroyer. If we hold, tournaments and training rooms at tier 8, you will see some good players and some Z-46s. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up to the end of the game here and show you guys the end results screen. But you guys, before we get there, I want you, we could, because we guessed on stream here, what do you guys think my XP is going to be? So you guys go ahead and comment down below. 2 solo caps, 4 kills, 1 assist and capture there. Confederate high caliber, first blood, of course. 9 torpedo hits. No defend ribbons, which would have probably ticked our score a little bit higher, but you guys let me know. We did a lot, but not enough for 4K. I guessed it on stream 3,800, and it is a nice 3,780 with the 4 kills there. It probably wouldn't have been 4K with that Kraken double strike, who knows? But a good team effort. That Prince Eugen played well, and shout out to, of course, Mexican and Romal there. In our division for the member games. But like I said, that Vanguard played pretty well. But a 200,000 damage game in a destroyer. And here's our build, Mr. Eric Bay, one of the strongest destroyer commanders, just honestly because of his base trait. We're also running, this build is more for my Elbing. I just hate changing builds because we don't have dedicated commanders yet. But Observant Rage, look at me now, twist and track there. You kind of want the turret traverse, and we also have Torpedo Royale, which is one of the newer traits that they added a couple updates ago. So gives a little bit more damage and a little bit more speed. And then, of course, Unstoppable. So just a very strong destroyer. You can see the 4.4 detection of ships there with its hydro. And part of the reason that this ship is so strong is it balances out the British, right? The German and the British are the jack-of-all-trade destroyers. They have good guns, good torps. And like we've mentioned so many times, the Daring is the best legendary tier destroyer. And I'm kind of making a whole video on this, but There's no counter for the daring at legendary tier. The Z-52 is the German counterpart, and we desperately need that in the game as well as other ships. But a good, healthy, balanced game is the reason that it's fun. But that is the Z-46, everyone. I hope you guys have a great Saturday. AA run out. Peace.